talk. It's time to rock. We have a midweek special here in Australia and New Zealand, but early hump day in the United States. It's Tuesday over there, but we still call it the midweek show, don't we, bro?
It's midweek for this side of the world, yes.
And that's all that matters.
We're always ahead, just a little bit ahead of everyone else here.
Hey, bro, good to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you. Before we start the show proper, I've got to make it quite clear to everybody. Anyone who's watching the replay, you can see some Instagram links on the bottom there. Brad Cook Music, Simon Williams 33, Kurt S 5150, and I happen to have. We're going to keep those banners up for most of the show. Jump over there, follow, share, like and subscribe, and we'd be happy to have a nice little family of friends and family sort of sticking together and sharing and contributing to what we do. So I'm not going to say a lot on this show because that guy wearing the Led Zeppelin t-shirt's going to say a lot.
Yeah. Well, the show started off a lot better than the last time we started a show so far. That little snippet I shared, that was funny. I completely forgot about that. So
thank you.
If you don't know what we're talking about, if you're on social media, you'll find it on my page. Just a little link. Just the start of the last show was very funny.
Well, that's the reason why you need to jump over to Brad's Instagram and have a look. And even Simon thought it was funny. Our co-host on the Sunday show, he even shared it. So it's always good if Simon's sharing something.
Yeah.
If Simon's sharing something, it's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it was very cool. And for anyone that's watching the show and you're not subscribed already, please do so. We'd love to have you on board, and in future shows, jump in the chat and give us a little bit of fun heckling and things like that. We always enjoy a bit of that sometimes, as long as you're nice to us.
Yeah. Bro, we didn't do Michael's 5 Clapton solos when we did this show the last time,
right? So,
but I've got his 5 Led Zeppelin solos, so we have to make sure we read them before we knock the show off.
Don't tell him yet, because I don't want to cross over with anything we've done. We'll hear his ones after we've done our 5.
Yeah. Well, he's out of here anyway, so he's over there somewhere. Have you got the chat up?
I have. So we got Simon in the chat. Hey, Simon, how you going? Good morning, or it's afternoon for us here. Keith,
hey Keith,
Ellen, my mum, Nelson. We've got Derek in the chat, and who else? That's it at the moment. But there's more people on watching us, so please throw us a comment. We're just having a bit of fun here. We're going to sort of kill an hour and a half or whatever, and just indulge you all with our favorite Led Zeppelin solos. That's why we're here, isn't it, Andrew?
Yeah. And like a lot of these little things that we do, these 5 little bits and pieces, these 5 little scraps of paper, these 5 little bits of chewing gum, your favorite pieces of chewing gum, finding these so before I give you my list, I'm just going to give you a general conversation about it. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised with my list, and I've done that kind of on purpose because I'm just an average guy. So when I approach these kind of things, bro, these top 5 kind of things, I generally try to sort of, okay, right, and come from that perspective. What do I like? I'm not going, I know what I'm going to do. I'm gonna pull out these tricky little things and be obscure. And if anyone's gonna do that, it's gonna be Brad, because he's the Led Zeppelin nut. I don't know much about Led Zeppelin, so if anyone's gonna pull out anything obscure, and it's going to be from a genuine perspective, it'll be Brad. So you won't find that with me, guys.
Well, you might be surprised, Andrew, because some of my picks are quite. Well, let's just leave it at that for the minute. And when we get into the solos, you might be surprised that I actually picked some of the songs I did over some of the more obscure ones. So you might be surprised yet. But
awesome.
Yeah. But if I think we've got a few more people in the chat now. Johnny Heartbreaker.
Hi, Johnny.
Keith Campbell. So how you going? There's a few people watching, so jump in, throw us a little comment. We're big fans of Led Zeppelin here, and in particular Jimmy Page. Especially for myself, I've spoken in depth about Jimmy Page on other shows we've done, when we've highlighted Jimmy Page's Led Zeppelin albums and whatnot. So I think the last one we did was what was the last album we did of Led Zeppelin? Which one was it we did? House of the Holy, wasn't it?
Yes, correct. We've done three, I think, 3 or 4 already. Yep.
Yeah, so we've done a few. So we've still got a few to go, but the solos basically on pretty much on every song for me, they have a place in my heart, because part of the reason why I got a Les Paul and decided to play guitar was because of Jimmy Page. I had a guitar magazine, I think it was 1990 or 1991, that just released the box set, the 4 CDs of Led Zeppelin remastered, the remastered ones, and they released a Guitar World magazine. I think it was Guitar World magazine. It had Jimmy Page on the front, and he was going through song for song a few things, and that picture of Jimmy on the cover was just like, that's why I want to play a Les Paul. And watching Song Remains the Same on video cassette, VHS, over and over and over till I wore it out. So yeah, it's hard to pick just 5 Led Zeppelin solos, but like we did with the Clapton one, it was difficult and it may change. But I'll say 3 out of my 5 are stone cold hard ones forever. I'll probably never change. With Clapton ones, it was more Clapton ones. I was like, it's going to change week to week, month to month. But at least 3 out of my 5 I picked are always going to be my favorite Led Zeppelin solos.
Do you know what? I'm going to agree with you. And this is true, guys. This is no bullshit. We don't script a lot of these shows, so I'm looking at my list now on my little piece of paper here. I'd agree with you. There's 3 on here which will always be Led Zeppelin favorites, and there's probably a couple there which might be interchanges. When someone's sick.
And I think when it comes down to it, it depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I like hearing the Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 era of Led Zeppelin and hearing all that sort of more bluesier stuff, and then obviously the more they progress, they change their tones, they change their sound, and when we get to Houses of the Holy and Physical Graffiti, there's some really deep cuts there that I could pull out and say that's my favorite. There's some amazing tracks throughout their career. One thing I will note, and I'll probably bring it up a few times when we're going through the solos, is Jimmy Page seems to always play like a piece in, especially in the emotional songs. There's a lot of what I would say orchestrated parts on guitar, less improvised. On the bluesier songs, he plays very improvised. On the more mellower tunes, there's a structure, chord structure, and changes behind it, he structures a solo in accordance with those changes, and that was what's so wonderful about him as a guitar player. He would orchestrate parts, and then he would just off the cuff just go into flutters of blues runs as well. So, when I get into the songs I've picked, I'll explain it a little bit more in detail. But one thing I've always said about Jimmy Page is when he is just improvising, it's like he's on the train tracks ready to come off, but he never does. He just keeps it on the train tracks. I just picture, a train on the tracks ready to come off at any time, and that never does. He always seems to be. His timing's unique. I don't know, Andrew. What do you think? His phrasing's unique. He's not on the 1, 2, 3, 4. He's lags at times. Then he goes across the beat, and sometimes he's on it, and then sometimes he's lagging. But then he always comes right to the end of what he's trying to execute perfectly.
I'll explain to you what I've read over the years that he's tried to articulate another Led Zeppelin nuts have said, which makes sense to me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing about Led Zeppelin, and one of the remarkable things about Led Zeppelin, is that they don't have a rhythm guitarist, which is quite interesting when you consider how dominant and how cavernous that sound is that they have, So the responsibility of filling that space clearly falls on the bass player and the drummer. And it's that remarkable space that these two instruments provide that gives what Brad just said, Jimmy Page, the opportunity for him when he's doing a lead break or something, or doing some kind of intro, that he can fall and move around in and still feel comfortable with just being a little bit behind or a little bit in front of the beat, because he's got the support of that rhythm section, which is so important. But I'm going to extend that again further and say that I think this is a unique thing that these British cats had at that time. I think it was just phenomenal that these guys could do that. And Jimmy Page certainly was. He loves space. If Jimmy Page was playing with, and go and have a look at some of these other clips on YouTube, you can see him. Doesn't like being cramped up, does he? Doesn't like it. Doesn't like having 10 guitars there,
No, he's. I agree with that. Hey, we've got Johnny Bean in the house. Deja Vu.
Daddy Bean.
How are we, guys? How are we going? We haven't got the siren here, but that's all right. There's no raid. It's just a. So, guys, if you've just jumped in the chat, there's a few more people jumping in. So we're just going over our favourite top 5 solos of Led Zeppelin. So we're going to have a bit of fun. You got some pictures to show and things like that, Andrew?
Yeah. So we've got 2 sets of pics here. We've got my ones, which I've kind of quickly got together to sort of back up my selections. But if you guys just give me 2 seconds here, I'm going to throw up what Brad... share screen, hold on. Where is it? There it is. I think that's the one. Are we on?
All right. So that's the mighty Led Zeppelin in front of their aircraft, their starship.
Just hold on, bro. I'm going to get rid of that because that's not going to let me navigate. Give me a second.
You're all right.
Give me a second. I'm going to go over here and find out why that's not working.
Why are you trying to work that out? If anyone's interested in when the 50th anniversary of Led Zeppelin 3 was, and earlier this year, I think it was, I did a little solo on my YouTube channel of Celebration Day. So if you want to go over there and check it out on my YouTube channel, by all means, go across there and check it out and give it a thumbs up and subscribe while you're there as well. Just sort of throw that in while you're all trying to get your little thing there together. But here we go.
Okay, right. Okay, so you just have to make sure you've got it all set up, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so Brad's going to talk about his picks.
Yeah, well, this is probably one of a handful of my favorite pictures of Jimmy Page. I think we showed this on the Houses of the Holy show that we did, but that's a really cool picture of him. With playing his main Les Paul. It had an understated flame on it, but at certain angles, the flame was really strong. So there's a 58, I believe, a 58 Les Paul. Obviously with a mods. I mean, back in those days, they weren't looking at them as collectible vintage instruments. They were looking at them as
instruments.
Yeah, just instruments to play. And he got that, you know. And once he got that from Joe Walsh, that was it. He was set. I think that's the one he got from Joe Walsh, anyway. But yeah, that's a great picture there. He looks like he's, you know, in his own world, you know, as they are. And that would have been around 73, I think, around that period.
Okay, hold on, bro. I've got technical issues here. What's going on with
At least you're not dropping in and out. That's the main thing.
Hold on. I'll just try one more time. This is why I try to, what's the word? I try to get them to be, okay.
Yep. Thought so, yeah. Keith is just saying that's the one he got from Joe Walsh, yeah. So once he got that guitar, that was pretty much it for him. He loved that guitar. And even like there was a video floating around of him in the early 2000s talking about that guitar. He's holding it like in the case, showing someone, and he's talking about it. It's like, yeah, it's the one. It's the one, you know.
Okay, we'll try one more time, bro. Hold on. Okay, so share screen. Where are we? Window. Try that one there. Okay. Is that the same one that you showed?
Yep. Oh no, that's a different one. That's a different one.
Cool.
So that's probably from the same gig, same photo. You can see John Paul in the background, John Paul Jones on the bass in the background. Jimmy's just obviously in the moment. I really like that series of photos. There's a lot more on Google. That's a really cool one of him playing his double neck SG. Now, obviously, there's a lot of confusion around that. Everyone seems to think that was played on Stairway to Heaven in the studio, and it wasn't.
No.
He really had that guitar as a stage instrument. I think he played it on a couple of things later from Physical and whatnot, but that guitar was not on Stairway to Heaven or anything like that at this point. But that's a really cool picture. I love that picture. And I love this one too. That's like you can picture him just about to start the Stairway to Heaven solo there. It's just that pose he used to always do when he just about bust into that solo section of Stairway to Heaven. Great photo, the light placement behind him, everything just really cool. The reason we show these photos too, guys, is it kind of sets a mood what we're trying to talk about. And the dragon suit, that's one of the coolest photos I've ever seen in my life of a guitar player. And that dragon suit, you know, when I was starting to play guitar and everything, I always had this vision of, you know, becoming the coolest dude, playing a Les Paul, wearing a dragon suit. That never really eventuated, but there was something about that. No one else could pull that off except Jimmy Page, to me.
Yeah.
You know, that's that. You know, the Song Remains the Same DVD, just with that dragon suit on and everything. It just was mind-blowing era for them. Just a cool picture of Jimmy playing the violin bow, which he was maybe in the Yardbirds. He was using that in Dazed and Confused, and obviously in Zeppelin, the bow came out a few times. Dazed and Confused. There's a few uses of it. I think in Through the Outdoor, the intro of that. There's a few intros, and Live used to do an epic solo where it was violin bow and the band would go off and have their little break, and he would be out there. And in the later 70s, they had all these lights around him. It was really cool, and smoke machines, and it was a big epic sort of part. So this is a cool one. You can see his Les Pauls there, his acoustics for the acoustic set. So that would have been, you know, that 75 era, I think. That wine red Les Paul, I've always been a big fan of that. And I believe later he had a B-bender installed on it. I'm not sure. But that telly in the background, the Dan Electro, and the double neck SG, which was obviously used for Stairway. Song Remains the Same in the Rain song. He used to have the the tuning on the 12-string and the 6-string different for the Rain song, and Song remains the same. The theremin, so he was big on using the theremin, and it's highlighted quite heavily in the Song Remains the Same DVD, but you can hear it all over the place in the earlier records. You can hear it in the later records. It's just an effect. But I always loved that section. Was it in A Whole Lot of Love, where he's doing the theremin solo, and John Paul and John Bonham are just holding it down, and it just sounds phenomenal. It's unbelievable to think it's just bass and drums and a theremin, and Robert Plant doing orgasmic noises behind it, trying to echo it, But it just goes to show how amazing John Paul and John Bonham were to hold it down like that. So that's a really cool picture of him playing the bow again as well. So I believe that might have been in the background there. You can see John Paul in the background. Jimmy using that bow. Very cool. Wearing the denim look. I've always loved that jumper. There's also a knitted jumper or vest or whatever it is. I think it's a jumper.
I don't know, mate.
Looks like a girl's type vest or something. It's cut off 3/4 sleeve sort of look. But yeah, that's a really cool picture too. And you can see on the rear pickup there, on the cover of that pickup, the wax from the violin bow, because it leaves a residue, especially when he's belting it. Dun. So that's a cool picture. I'm guessing that would have been in Dazed and Confused or one of those songs. I'd say that might even be in the Yardbirds, that photo. But that's the Dragon Telly that got reproduced not long ago, actually, from Fender.
No, I've got this photo to share on my segment, and my sources say this is Led Zeppelin, bro.
Early Zeppelin? Okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely in that first album period for sure, because I think he even might have scrapped the Dragon off it after that. Now these are photos taken from the Met, when the guitar was at the Met. Now I can't confirm or not whether this is the actual guitar or whether it's one of the custom shop ones that Gibson did, but apparently it's the real one, but I could be corrected. But I just thought it was cool that you can see all the marks in it. Like I said, they were never really, back when they were using these things, they never really thought of them as being collectible guitars. They just used them as tools. That's just a different angle. So yeah, pickup cover removed. You can see all the everything sort of etching away, and it's there's so much history. If that's the real guitar, then there's so much history there. Maybe someone in the chat can confirm whether that's the real one or not. But you can just imagine what they could, if that's the real one, what it's been through, and imagine if it could tell stories. Imagine if it could talk. Be amazing.
Yeah, look, I don't know, bro. I'm gonna say it's gotta be the original. Gotta be.
Mm. Yeah.
Gotta be.
Yeah. Just another line. So it's funny because the tuners, they're brass. If you have a look closely, they're brass on the main one. So very cool. Yep. It's an amazing piece of history that, you can imagine, and I just thought that was a cool photo of Jimmy with his, that is the actual guitar. That's the main one. Is number one. There's Paul. So I thought that was a cool pic. but he's still a stylish guy for his age. He's still
Not
got a bit of
bad.
style about him.
Not bad, man.
It's like a wizard. The wizard.
Bro, thank you for those picks. That's awesome. It's one of the great things that we like doing here on the show is we try to, as Brad said, add a bit of flavour, some salt and pepper for the steak, and
Yeah.
bit of olive oil for it to sizzle on. So yeah, we're sizzling now. So I can't wait to hear what Brad's, in no particular order, because these top fives aren't ranked from 5 to 1. They are just merely clearly top
Yep.
5. So
Exactly.
what's your first one, bro? Come on.
Well, we'll dive into it. Okay, so my first one, hands down, without a doubt, would probably, and I know we do these in no particular order, but this would be very close to my all-time favorite, and it's Since I've Been Loving You from Led Zeppelin 3. I just love the exotic flavors with the minor blues he's playing through it. His feel is tear-jerking, and I'll use that terminology that Steve Anderson used to say is goosebumps. Like I listen to it, and I remember in the day I used to always listen to this in my headphones, and you could just hear like he's channeling something there. He's focused on those chord changes. His head's back, and he's just playing. He's phenomenal. I mean, the intro is phenomenal. And Since I've Been Loving You, obviously live, it was always extended, jammed. The song remains the same version is amazing as well. I love that the way they start that with their everybody goes yeah bash, and then it comes in playing that big run at the start. But I've got a very soft spot for Led Zeppelin 3's version of Since I've Been Loving You. Obviously, it's the Les Paul. You can just hear the feel. He's channeled into that. Since he's feeling that blues, it's a minor key, and he's going for it. What is yours, Andrew?
I think what you've picked is fantastic. That's one of your all time. Is that because you said there are 3 that are all time? So that's not interchangeable.
That one will never change. That one will never change for me. Is one of my all time favorite Zeppelin solos. I think it's just a perfect example, especially to up-and-coming blues guitarists and rock guitarists that want to hear a bit of flavor in just staying, not completely playing a stock pentatonic blues shape, box shape scale. He's adding a lot of color in that with his minor key notes and everything like that. So it's amazing.
Awesome.
And the squeaky kick pedal and all that from bottom, like it just adds so much flavor.
Awesome. Have we got Sonia in here? Have we missed Sonia? I'm just looking here, bro, in the chat. If Sonia is here, she is.
Hey,
hello, Sonia.
Hey, I'll see if we've got a few people here.
Analog Kid. Sonia, I didn't send her a link, bro, for the show. So Sonia, forgive me. Sorry.
This was fairly last minute, Sonia. So
sorry.
Yeah, these midweek ones we decide on the fly whether we got time to do it or not. So no, we're not Analog Kid. No, we're picking our favorite top 5 solos from Led Zeppelin. So that's my first one. You haven't missed much. We've just been yabbering for the last sort of half hour or so about Led Zeppelin and our favorite little parts of photos and things like that. But now we're into this. Now we're into the guts of the show now.
Yeah. Okay. So I've picked Dazed and Confused, but not off the original album. It has to be and will always ever be. The song Remains the Same version. In fact, that was probably the version that was etched into my mind for about 5 years before I consciously heard the studio version. And after listening to Song Remains the Same, and I've had a few chats with people over the years that had similar experiences with me, the Song Remains the Same has done some great things for Led Zeppelin fans and some horrible things.
Yeah.
But this is one version of the song that I like particularly from this album. And again, I've just got this image burned in my mind of Jimmy Page, these picks there, from the,
Oh yeah.
Just from that
Yeah.
whole what is it, movie. And I know that we're talking about solos, but this is the connection for me, bro. That's the connection. The connection for me is that this movie. So Dazed and Confused. I love the studio version. Don't get me wrong. It's great. It's awesome. It's Jeepers. That was on their first album, wasn't it? Dazed. It was on Led Zeppelin 1. What a song for their first album. But song remains the same version, man. Oh
yeah, mate. I could have picked everything off Song Remains the Same because it meant that much to me. But also the albums, some of the album versions of things are just, they hold their own place in history, in my opinion. And maybe in 100 years' time, people will still be talking about Led Zeppelin, I'm sure.
The horrible things, some of in the movie, especially, not necessarily the album, the movie, the song remains the same. Movie is an acquired taste for some people. So I've been told. I don't mind the movie. I love it. The gangsters and everything, and yeah.
Yep. Look, the movie was there's a lot of things about the movie that I love. The dream sequences, but at times I wish we could see the footage of them playing, but I believe that footage was not available. That's why they did the dream sequences, because they had a lot of problems with this movie.
Yeah.
The cameramen were probably high as kites and filming when they wanted to and not filming when they didn't want to, and I believe I'm not a big expert on this, but I think they had to actually go in and script some parts. They had to redo some parts, like mock up a stage and do it just to finish the movie off, which is disappointing. And I know that, say, they were all asked to wear the same clothes, and John Paul refused. He said, "I'm not wearing the same clothes every gig." So he wore pom-poms one gig, and it was one of those things. So there's a lot more. If you read the Richard Cole book, it goes into it. The Richard Cole book, so the Stairway to Heaven, I think it's called. If you read that, there's a lot of information about that movie and why it is the way it is. I mean, I love the dream sequences, but sometimes I wish I could be watching the guys performing as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had a preference too. That would be my preference too. But yeah, thank you, Analog Kid, for the nice comments. We appreciate it. Right. So we've got one down each, 4 to go. What's your next one, bro? What do you got?
Second one might surprise a few people, but this one will probably never change. Achilles' Last Stand of Presence. Epic solo. I was talking a bit before at the head of this show how Jimmy Page would construct solos, and he constructed this solo over the changes. It's a perfect example of him and his ability to layer guitar parts like a guitar orchestra. So there was, if you listen to the chord changes behind what he's playing, and then when it does the dun 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 dun, and he's finding those parts to fit in that, and then when it comes back in down, like he's doing the way he plays over those changes. No one can do that. No one can do that but Jimmy Page. He had this knack for, he's still present, so he's got this knack for pulling an emotion out of those changes. Like, he hits the right note all the time. He always finds the right bend, the right whatever it may be, and he always lands in the right place. So Achilles' Last Stand for me, it's one of those epic songs that when I heard Presence for the very first time, that album, and it comes in with the phasing guitar and all that, and I'm like, man, this is out there. Like, it took me like 2 or 3 listens to it of 10 minutes or whatever it goes for to absorb what I just heard, because there's so many guitar parts going on, and I think that was probably one of Jimmy Page's swan songs. He put a lot of energy and time into the guitar parts for that song. And I think one of the funny stories is he goes to John Paul Jones, "I've got this scale," and John Paul Jones goes, "There's no such scale." He goes, "Don't worry, I've got this scale," and he come up with those melodic runs at the bass and the guitar were doing together. So he just had a vision, and he laid down tons of guitars on this song. There's a ton of guitars, but that solo in particular is a masterpiece. Andrew.
I've never. Okay, so that's interesting because I haven't picked your two offerings, so that's pretty good. That's good. I can't contradict anything you said about that song. It's a masterpiece. It's and we like to use this term all the time, don't we? Because it's something that we can put into perspective, though. It's a landscape, and it's one of the great things that Led Zeppelin can give us as musicians and music fans. You know, when we did Houses of the Holy, there are a couple of songs on there which just absolutely fit that category. So, good. I did consider the song though, but I didn't pick it. So, look. I'm not going to make any apologies for picking Stairway to Heaven from Song Remains the Same. I'm not going to make any apologies for it. I just think the solo is just about it for me. I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, but Led Zeppelin like Kashmir, and they didn't really like Song Remains the Same." Well, who gives a shit? I like it. They still play the song 4 or 5 times a week on the classic rock radio station that I listen to. I love the Song Remains the Same version too. It's just everything that Led Zeppelin is for me. And if you guys don't agree with that, because I know again, Song Remains the Same gets treated unfairly by some people, but I think most of us here will put that song up on the echelon that it belongs. Just because a song is popular or gets radio play doesn't mean it's crappy.
No. Well, it's we have varied musical taste, but at times I always think Andrew and myself have some similarities in musical taste, and unfortunately, Andrew, you took one of my songs off my list, which the next one was going to be "Stairway to Heaven" from Song Remains the Same. The reason I picked that, and I don't know whether you're finished or not, but I'm just going to elaborate on what you're saying.
No, yeah, Matt, I'm finished. You go for it, because I'm sure whatever you're going to say is going to be better than anything.
No, not at all, not at all. I'm just going to elaborate a little bit. Like I love the recorded version of Led Zeppelin 4 as well. The reason I picked, the Song Remains the Same version, I've always felt there's a certain energy in that version of that song that's epic, and everything about it, from the intro to the past. Does anybody remember Laughter? And the solo in it is epic. Jimmy's just. And if you listen to the band, they're just waiting for that cue to come back. Bonham's waiting to bring it back into and there's one on down the road. He's just waiting for that cue from Jimmy Page. Him and Jonesy are just holding it there. They're holding it together. There's some amazing drum fills. But Jimmy Page is, You watch him playing that. You watch that solo. You watch him playing that on the double neck guitar, and it's epic. From the part where he's got the guitar up, ding-a-ding, ding-a-ding, ding, ding, and it does that big build up for the solo. That's epic, and it's phenomenal. Yeah. That to me is, that pentatonic run. That's as iconic as any guitar piece you can ever think of. And then he just extends on that and embellishes on his improvised solos. So, yeah, that's my just elaboration on what you said there, Andrew, on my next one, which was Stairway to Heaven. Amazing.
Yeah. I that break in between, dun 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 dun. It's just.
Yep.
How long have
It's
we been listening? How long have we
it,
been listening to the song for? Um,
oh,
in my case, 10 years.
about 5 years for me.
No, I can't.
No, about 10 years, about the same, Andrew. Um,
40 years.
I've been looking to do it, yeah, a long time. That song remains the same. DVD and video cassette at the time was um, a massive part of who I am as a musician. You know, subconsciously, I sometimes play like my heroes, and there is certain things that pop out at times for me when I'm playing, and I go, man, that sounds like Jimmy Page. Not that I can play like Jimmy Page, but it's what I'm saying is I'm not boasting. It's just because I've been listening to it all my life. It just comes through. It's not even a thought. It's like in my blood. So, Stairway to Heaven from Somewhere to Say. What's your next one, Andrew?
Okay, so those two are always that I've said, and the third one is In My Time of Dying. And I'm a blues guy. I've got a resonator. I've got a couple of slides. I love playing that slide. I just love it. I love hearing it, and I think that Jimmy Page's slide is. It's just, it shocked me when I was a young cat listening to this music. Because I was listening to, rock and roll and Black Dog. We were listening, and then all of a sudden we were listening to some slide stuff. It was like, oh my gosh, what, it's just this different tangent that and I'll never forget these experiences. And when I listened to the song the last couple of days in preparation, just to make sure that I was picking this, I just love it. And I think you and I spoke about this with Simon on a couple of shows. And I think even the Rummeister, we did a show and we mentioned this too. And I think we all said that it was a special song. And it was a song that perhaps some of us might even have playing at our funeral. But we'll be dead then. So
my time of dying. That's an amazing pick, and I think we touched on that when we did the episode on the album at Come Off. It's actually cut live. It's cut live. It's pretty much live. There's no overdubs on that song, from what I believe. In my time of dying, yeah. Because you can hear Bonzo at the end, and that's got to be the one, hasn't it? I think they did a couple of takes, and they just picked up the best one. Yeah.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. Great pick. It's got he plays with so much sleaze and swagger when he plays slide. Have you noticed that?
I think you're right, and that's one of the great things about Jimmy Page is he can have that delicate finesse that you want, and you can hear it, and then you can hear at the same time when he's just chopping away, and when he's in Keith Richards mode and he doesn't care.
Yeah, I think he was probably in that mode a lot. So is it my choice, the next one?
Yes, it's you. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
So my next choice comes from the Song Remains the Same DVD as well, an album, No Quarter. Jimmy Page's solo in that. These last two that I picked are alternates. They could, I could change these around. But I mean, just recently we did Houses of the Holy, and I loved the solo in that, on No Quarter on that. But then I put Song Remains the Same on today, and I was listening to No Quarter, and I was just like, wow, this is completely and utterly epic. And then when he comes in playing those like chords, then he puts that little fusiony feel to those runs, and it's very exotic. It's bluesy, but it's exotic. When he hits that bridge pickup at like this exact moment, 5 minutes 58 seconds. It's like, man, I just get goosebumps when he goes to that back pickup. It's just amazing. You just hitting those notes, and so that one for me, No Quarter, off Song Remains the Same.
Wow!
If you remember that, guys, when the solo starts after the keyboard solo, the guitar solo starts, and he's playing with that, so it's like a nasally tone. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's like middle. He's got neck and bridge together. Then when he just flicks it back to the bridge pickup at 5 minutes 58 seconds, it's just like wow.
Yeah, I think Brad's selection is an interesting example of the CIA that Jimmy Page has mentioned a couple of times. It's the Celtic, Indian, African influence that has a big influence on Jimmy Page, and it comes through in a lot of the songs and a lot of the scales. Brad mentioned earlier, that I got the scale for you, and it's like, what are you talking about? That's not but he's playing. I don't know the names of them. Probably someone in the chat. Probably Brad does. He knows the name of this scale, but the CIA, the Celtic, Indian, African influences just gives this band, and certainly Jimmy Page, that dimension that a lot of other guitar players, bro, never had.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of guys in that era were very blues based, and so was Jimmy. But he put a lot of flavor in his playing as well, not just the standard box pentatonic shape or the blues notes. He wasn't just playing blues notes; he was playing a lot of exotic stuff, which he was incorporating his modes and whatnot. Maybe he knew technically what he was doing, or didn't. He just knew what notes he liked. But he repeated himself a lot in a lot of solos with those flavor notes here and there, which it colors it up beautifully for me. So yeah, No Quarter. Encourage everyone to go and listen to that off Song Remains the Same. It's wonderful.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Okay, so my second to last song. Oh, look, please don't beat me up, but I just love this song, and I just picked this because for me. The Lemon Song. You guys know me. And you heard everything that I said about my time of dying. I think it's just a great example of that early Led Zeppelin. This is the Lemon Song's on Led Zeppelin 2. It's he's still playing the Telecaster, still playing through that tiny little Supero amp. He's not the Jimmy Page we know. Playing
on 2. Is he using the Les Paul though? 1 is using the Telly. I think on 2 he's using the Les Paul, maybe.
Okay, all right. I'm not gonna argue with you.
I'm not saying I'm right, but I thought in Led Zeppelin 2 he got that guitar from Joe Walsh, and I think that was it for him. He knew that was the sound. Pretty sure.
Okay, all right. So he's okay. Well, that Led Zeppelin, that early Led Zeppelin, from those first albums, that Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 2, for me, especially in song contexts, have a huge influence on me for my musical tastes, and but the solo on the Lemon Song is just, I've got this image of Jimmy Page just picking up a guitar and just playing it.
Oh yeah,
and I like that. For the same reason that I picked Forever Man, that short, quick. We know Jimmy Page can solo for 10 minutes, but some of these short bits, these short crumbs, you still get a full tummy, and I've got one.
Look, he very well could have been playing a telly on that, Andrew. So I'm not trying to correct you there, but I just, from my understanding, and I'm pretty sure he got that Les Paul around the time of recording the second album. So I think once he got that was. But I agree with you. That's an amazing track. I pretty much could have picked a handful of tracks off the first two albums easily, because they're very embedded in the blues. They're very embedded in the blues. And this Lemon song, you know, outstanding guitar playing, but you could, by God, you got to give John Paul Jones a bit of a rap there too, don't you?
Oh yeah, you know, and it goes back. Obviously, it's a Howling Wolf. Yeah, you know, it's one of their rip-off songs. You know, so, but we forgive them for that. They've come out, they've said sorry. You know, and Simon's made this point a few times too. You know, this unintentional borrowing. It was this borrowing that was going on. So, yeah, you know, so we don't beat people up on this program.
No, we only beat each other up afterwards. But yeah, no, I that's a really good pick too. I probably could have picked that one. Could have picked that one easily as well. So my last pick. This was a toss-up between a couple of other songs. So I'll give honourable mention in a minute up to the ones that just didn't quite make the cut later. But I have to go with off Physical Graffiti. There's a handful of tunes on there that just that make me want to weep, and 10 Years Gone is one of them. Amazing feel. That's a Telecaster on that song for sure. That's a Tele with a B bender, and he's using a phase pedal on that. Without a doubt, he's got a phase pedal. It's on a really slow sweep sort of thing, the phase. It's a masterpiece, this song. It's layered into epic musical like landscape. It's a perfect take. He got the solo down perfect. Amazing feel. Honestly, one of the greatest solos like you could construct for a song like that. The second musical piece as well, like the main solo, but then there's that musical piece after around that 3 minutes 40. It's tear-jerking. The way he's tracked the guitars is gorgeous. And, you know, the outro being, I'm never gonna leave you, we're doing all this, and he's got the two guitars playing harmonies and things like that. Just beautiful. That song I can listen to over and over and over. It's about a love lost, and I'm sure, you know, it's a tear-jerking sort of song that makes you you know, think, and it brings those emotions up. And that's a song you got to listen to with headphones or in a very dark room with it very loud through your stereo, and don't worry about the neighbors, they can handle it.
Gee, look, one of the great things that I have here, guys, being a co-host with Brad, with the Rock Professor Simon, with the Rev Kurt, is that I get firsthand to sit here and listen to the insights and the opinions of my co-hosts, and sometimes I get floored by the analysis and opinions that's that gets presented, and that's certainly one that's up there with one of the best. Thank you, bro. I think your synopsis on the song is fantastic, and if you can make someone listen to these songs with anything that you've said with some, you know, deeper clarity, gee, we've done a pretty good job. Well, I'm going to put myself in there too. Gee, we've done a good job, because this shows, yeah, no, it's a team show.
We do a good job. We do a good job, Andrew. You know, people can make fun of us, you know, and never escape and things like that. Never escape. You know, we do a good job. You know, at least they're talking about us. We must be doing something right, eh?
Mate, my last song, I'm going to throw up a couple of picks. I'm going to be a cheeky bugger, and I'm going to see if you guys can pick maybe what the song might be. So just hold on. Oh dear. Oh, that's right. I couldn't do that. It couldn't. Oh no! Hold on. It's not going to let me do it. Hold on, bro.
Should we be scared?
Okay, so I've picked a song from In Through the Outdoor, and specifically the Kebworth live in Kebworth version I love the 79 Led Zeppelin. I love it. I know that everyone talks about the 75 Led Zeppelin, and I know that everyone talks about the 72, 73 Led Zeppelin, and I know that the 69, 70 Led Zeppelin gets a lot of pats on the back. But, you know, when they're standing there wearing those grey, you know, early 80s, well, I know it's 79 shirts and tight trousers and grey thin ties, you know. I thought I had some pics here. Jeepers, I'm bad. And 79 and 80 was around the time 1980s when I started high school. So this was and that was the year Bonham passed away too, wasn't it? 80? Yeah. So this album was very much being talked about. So that was like my 5150, if you can understand, bro. You know, it was, you know, your carnal knowledge, you know. I don't like a lot of songs on the album. Don't get me wrong. This is one of the interesting things about this. I don't like a lot of them. You know, Hot Dog is a funny song. But I've picked the first track, In the Evening. I love it. When I first saw the video about 15 years ago, he's playing that Stratocaster. I'm going, holy cow, you know. I've seen him with the Telecaster, seen him with the Dan Electros, we've seen him with the double necks, bro. We've seen him with his Les Pauls, but I never saw a lot of him playing Strats.
Yeah.
And I picked the song specifically because it's got that Strat tone.
Yeah. He embraced the Strat a little bit on Presence as well. You can hear it in a few tracks on Presence. And the funny thing was, I'm glad you picked that song, because at times you could almost be mistaken to think that the Strat he's using sounds like a Les Paul at times, the way he plays it or something. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Like on Presence, there's a couple of songs that you're like, what's he playing? It doesn't sound like a Les Paul. Maybe it is. I can't work it out. But you can tell it's a Strat because he's doing the dive or something with using the bar. But yeah, so that's a great pick. I love. I'm a sucker for a good song and the way it's written, and I'm a sucker for All of My Love from that album as well. I love the guitar play. Beautiful.
So that I didn't do any Brad cheating, ladies and gentlemen. I only picked 5. I haven't got any like boundary ring-ins like Brad. So you know.
Yeah.
but can I just tell you something, bro? The choice that I had, it was a toss-up between all of my. I just think that song is.
It's heartfelt. It's beautiful, and I know, you know, I've got a bootleg of the, and I'm sure they've probably surfaced since, and maybe even they re-released it. I haven't got the re-released version of In Through the Outdoor with all the bonus tracks on it or whatever, but the bootleg I've got has got them in the studio recording All of My Love without the guitar solo and the overdubs, but it's Robert singing live, like he's just singing live in the studio.
It's one of Plant's best vocals, but you know how the song starts off with the keyboards, you know, drumming comes, and I'm going,
yeah.
What are these guys on?
Yeah, the drumming and the demo I got, they obviously cleaned up the drums, because you can hear Bonham voicing things as he's playing. And like you can, if you listen to a lot of isolated tracks of John Bonham, you can actually hear him
timing.
You can hear him like voicing things, like whether it's he does all that sort of stuff while he's playing.
Like you and I do.
Like when I play drums. I don't know what I'm playing, so I just voice it.
Well, I did not know that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've just been given some deep dive gold from Brad. Go and listen to those isolated drumming tracks.
Yeah, you can listen to a lot of Bonzo stuff, John Bonham stuff isolated on YouTube these days, and you can really hear the room mics are picking up his voice. He made grunts and all sorts of things while he's playing, and you can understandably so. I mean, listen to the drum tracks he put down; they're phenomenal, you know. So, but that album in particular, I really love that album as well. It grew on me, that album, and there's songs like Carousel Bamba and things like that. They weren't necessarily ones I'd always listen to, but now when I listen to it, I'm like, Fool in the Rain. That drum beat is just phenomenal.
Fall in the Rain, South Bend, Shiraz. Yep. You know, I love the album. The Hot Dog.
Ooh. Yeah, that was I think from my take on it, it's a bit of a piss take. I don't think it's serious. It's. I mean, and that's the thing. That's the thing. You know. Analog Kick. I just read one of his comments here. John Bonham's isolated during Fool in the Rain is simply amazing. Yeah, you got to go and do yourself a favor, and if you're a massive Zeppelin fan, you'll have a whole new appreciation for John Bonham when you listen to him, like the isolated tracks. And you got to understand, he never played to a click drum, a click. Sorry, he never played to a click either. So he was like a human metronome because his timing very, very rarely went out. And he was one of those guys that just had something quite unique. And obviously, Jimmy Page, you know, when they do it in Through the Outdoor, their next record was going to be a real rocker, apparently, a real riff-based album, because they wanted to come back with something strong from that album and less keyboards and more. This is what I read anyway. And they were demoing stuff when Bonham passed, apparently. So that's a bit sad that we never got to hear that. But Jimmy Page's were riffs and everything like that were always written with Bonzo's drumming in mind. They were never really just sat there and thought, oh, they can just play along with me. He always wrote riffs and everything. He had those. I'm playing with a drummer like John Bonham towards the end of their career. Obviously, everything was going to be, written around the way he drummed. Let's be honest.
What could have happened? You know, and I look forward to doing some more deep dives with Brad and Simon on the Sunday shows, because we've just scratched the surface on Led Zeppelin. We've got some good stuff to go through there. We've got, when we do the Song Remains the Same DVD show over a couple of shows, you know, we look forward to doing that and sharing that with you. But I'm just going to, before we wrap up, I'm just going to say to you, bro, what Led Zeppelin could have done in 1980, they were on the verge of, I think, yeah.
Personally, you know, it's questionable which way they would have went, especially after reading a few books. They may have needed a break for a little bit and then come back stronger. But you know, they would have been still. You know, they would have been like, in my opinion, like the Stones. They would have kept, like Aerosmith, keep going and just keep rocking and keep doing that stuff, and that's where they would have been. But yeah, look, it's you know, unfortunate, and they made the right decision. As much as we all wanted to hear more music from Led Zeppelin, without John Bonham, there's no Led Zeppelin, in my opinion. You know, without any of the four members, it's not Led Zeppelin. You can't replace. They were one of those unique bands like the Beatles. If someone was to not be part of it, they couldn't do it. That was, you know, they were all so integral in their part. It was a four-way chemistry thing. It wasn't just like, these are our songs, we can just get another drummer in, you know. And I think the couple of times sorry to cut you off, but the couple of times they had like Phil Collins or Jason when he was very young playing drums for him, it didn't quite work. I think they used Tony Franklin a bit as well, but once they unfortunately the age gap sort of thing was too big between Jason Bonham and the guys, and like it was too young when they continued on. Like when they did Live Aid. That was not a good period for those guys, and I'm not going to knock it. But when they did like an Atlantic Records thing, it was a bit better. Jimmy Page wasn't on his game, no. And then obviously, was it the O2 Arena thing they did in 2000, was it, or whatever? I can't remember. 2007, was it? When they did that with Jason on drums.
Yep.
That was great, but I mean, it's not. It wasn't Bonham, And Jason.
Well, the good thing about Jimmy Page though is he's given us a couple of great albums in between. So Page and Plant, and also Coverdale Page, which Brad and I are planning. We're planning that show, guys. So we're going to do that with Simon, and also the album that he did with the Black Crows. There's some good stuff there. Yeah. So he hasn't left us completely. What's the word? Hung out.
I'm a little bit baffled though by. I know he wanted to keep flying the Zeppelin flag and keep the identity of Zeppelin where it should be in the music world and do the right thing by Led Zeppelin. But I would have loved to have heard, because I've heard him write songs. I've heard some demos of him doing with Michael Lee, the drummer he used in Page and Plant. I've heard things, and I'm like, man, these things should have surfaced by now. He should have done another album where he got other singers in, or like he should have just released. Maybe he will eventually do it, but I just pray that he gets some stuff out there sooner than later.
Yeah, and I'd like to do another show too with you on. I'm not an audiophile, so I don't know. I've got a pretty good ear, but these remastered Led Zeppelin albums that came out a couple of years ago, and then the remasters that got Brad into Led Zeppelin in 1990. So, I've got a turntable, listen to some albums, but I'm quite happy listening to Spotify too, bro. So I'd like to get some of your thoughts on some of those recordings. Doesn't have to be anything in depth, but it'd be good to hear what you've got to say about those too. So we've got plenty of shows, mate. If you're a Led Zeppelin nut, this is the place to be.
Oh, yeah. And look, I could have given some. There was a couple of songs that I really wanted to put in this list, and I bumped them.
What do you got?
So I'll give an honourable mention to Dazed and Confused, the song remains the same version. I know you picked that one, Andrew, so I'm glad we picked that. I have to give shouts out to Whole Lot of Love from Led Zeppelin 2, because that was one of the solo where dun 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 dun. It was one of the very first Jimmy Page things I tried to work out on guitar. So that's that that lick he does, like it's very classic Jimmy Page. So those licks in there. What else was I going to say? There's licks in there for days. Yeah, for any guitarist that's up and coming and wants to learn, like those little breakdown solo there, phenomenal. Heartbreaker, of course. Interestingly, that solo was recorded after. Was an afterthought, the main solo in that. But I actually love when the isolated solo ends and then the band come back in. Love that bit. That solo there is phenomenal, and his playing in that is great. But if you listen, the solo where he's unaccompanied and he's playing by himself is slightly out of key. The tuning's slightly out to the rest of the song, and I think we discussed this during one of our earlier episodes.
Yep.
Good Times, Bad Times, Communication Breakdown, just phenomenal bursts of flutters on the telly, just amazing solos. In the Light from Physical Graffiti, just some beautiful playing on that. The outro solo in that is just tear-jerking. And like I said, Celebration Day from Led Zeppelin 3, I did a little solo on my YouTube channel. It's floating around there. And to me, I learnt that as a kid. And then when that became, I think it was the 50th anniversary of it, I just had to go through my licks and tricks in my head and rework it out. And I just put a little solo up on YouTube playing that solo, which is a bit of fun. I should do more of those sort of things, really, because it's like a step back in time for me. It's like a time capsule. I learned that as a kid, you know, and then I hadn't played it in like 20 something years. And then when it was like the 50th anniversary, I was like, oh, I'm going to learn that again. And it took me like 2 seconds to just come back to me, you know. It was one of those things. So, but yeah,
what I'll do is I'll grab that link of from Brad's Instagram, and we'll attach it to the description for anybody who's watching the replay that wants to go and check that out. But this is probably a good opportunity for you guys to say, check Brad out at Brad Cook Music at Instagram. If you haven't already done that, please do, because we want to build up Brad's presence over there. And as usual, if you're a regular to the channel, you know that he'll keep you in touch with what we do over here as well. And there's also events for what we do here, which will only be released on our Instagram account. So it's another reason why you need to have those subscriptions signed.
Yeah. And so I think you know that link I'm talking about on my YouTube channel, Andrew, the Operation Day. So I'd love to see what your comments are on that. Make sure they're all nice. Give me a thumbs up, you know.
Yeah, we only say nice things here.
That's it. We only like nice people. We crucify people at the stake for being bad.
I look forward to doing more Led Zeppelin stuff. I think we haven't scratched the surface with Led Zeppelin, and this is one of the great things that I've got for my co-hosts here, Simon, Kurt, and Brad. You know, their wealth of information that we have at fan level. At fan level, you know, and you guys also in the chat, what you guys offer in the chat is fantastic, you know. So it's what is it? Our show's based on reciprocity, you guys and us, and we love that. Thank you very much. Yeah, you know, we got Quentin James in the chat, Deja Voodoo, Keith. We've had some awesome comments. Pride of Gothenburg, who's seen the Black Crows live. You know, I can't wait to do that album. We've got man, and the year's just about over, and we haven't even got to 10% of all the albums that we said that would do, bro. What's going on?
We're just scratching the surface of what we're trying to cover, which is, you know, we always say we're going to do this and we have to put things on ice because we go, oh no, we have to put it on ice because this is coming up and we're going to do this. And so it's there's a lot of shuffling around in the background. We do put a lot of energy and time into these shows, guys, and I'm you know, grateful that you guys appreciate it and enjoy what we're doing, which makes it all well worth it. Yeah, so, you know. And
seriously though, bro, we will do. We are going to. I can say that we are definitely going to do All Things Must Pass, the 50th anniversary. We've got that slotted, and we'll probably do that over 3 shows. We're definitely going to do the Beatles release by Peter Jackson. We're definitely going to talk about that for 3 or 4 shows, and we definitely are going to do one of Brad's all-time. Have I got it here? One of Brad's all-time fantastic Van Halen recordings.
Yep. Love it.
We've definitely got those.
Yeah. That's a must. That's a must, that one. We're looking forward to doing all that. And you know, we do these little midweek ones. We don't do it religiously every week, but we're trying to do them as regularly as possible to, you know, it's just a bit of fun. We're not all this is not, none of this is scripted. We're just flying on the seat of our, you know, on the edge of the seat here. That's Andrew's extent of his notes.
No disrespect to what we do on the midweek show, but the midweek show's always, it's a bit, like Brad said, this is the SAS version of what we do. This is like, you know, drop behind enemy lines, got to go achieve the objective and get it done. We just have fun. So we just thought, you know, good opportunity to jump on and what better way to do it than chat about someone like Led Zeppelin. Wow, you know. how did we meet Analog Kid? Easy. I was watching an Instagram show, wasting time, and I should have been at work, on a guy called Dropkick Blues, and he had this cat he was talking to, and I know that accent. Being a Kiwi and Brad being an Australian. And so I followed Brad's Instagram account and saw that he released an EP, and I listened to his EP, and I thought, wow, this guy is playing everything that our show talks about in a 2020 context. And I thought, man, I got to reach out to this cat, because this guy, even better, he's an Australian. If he couldn't be a New Zealander, he's an Australian. Yeah. So that's good enough, you know, kind of thing. He's not an American. No disrespect to our Americans or our English, you know, but no. You know, this was close. So I sent out a message saying, hey man, check out, this is what we do. Flicked him a link, said I'd love to interview you, and Brad said yep. Jumped on, and we became fast friends quickly. And I said to him, I've got friends in Melbourne who will come and knock on your door if you don't agree to what I'm going to tell you. And he said, what is that? And I said, you're going to be a co-host on our channel.
And he's not joking. He's not joking. Yeah. I knew I should have told you to get nicked from that very first message you sent me.
And true enough, there was a knock on the door.
Yeah, I should have listened to my gut instinct beeps and said, "Go nick off, would you? Leave me alone." From the very first message. No,
yeah, look, what Brad brought to our channel, seriously, Analog, and thank you for asking that. But Brad brought, and Simon and I were blown away by Brad's contribution, because Brad just jumped in, fitted right in, right from the word go. And we've all been lucky. We've been in situations where you've had someone that's just jumped in and going, hey, shit, this guy's been here for years. What's going on? You know? But the fact that Brad plays regularly, we're all guitar players here, but Brad plays regularly. He's a gigging musician. He's toured Australia. He's produced an EP. He's working on some stuff, and we'd like to think maybe we could inspire a couple of songs on his next recording. We could be the topic of some, top 10 tunes.
That New Zealand bastard, he won't leave me alone.
But it's depth that Brad's given to our channel, which is as you guys know, you'll all attest to it.
That's massive. Thank you, Andrew. I just see it as just trying to contribute the best I can, mate, to help you guys, help the channel. It's selfless. I enjoy doing it because, we're talking about stuff we love, and it's I couldn't think of a better way than rushing home from work, grabbing a coffee, and sitting down talking about Led Zeppelin for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? It's great because especially during the lockdown period that we're that I've experienced and seems to sort of happen regularly. It's been great to be able to do this, and in a roundabout way, it's brought me closer to the music that I love as well. Because I've got all this knowledge. So
yeah. I don't know if we've discussed this on here, but I think you've hit the nail on the head. Talking about what you love and what you listen to is giving me too a different dimension. The fact that I've been listening to, for example, 1984, Van Halen's 1984 since it came out, but talking about it and hearing what other people who you appreciate opinions are, just gave me wow. So when I go and sit back and listen to 1984 again, or listen to these solos that we just discussed today, it's like, I never got that.
Exactly. And it just inspires me to try and do the best I can on the show every week we get on. And we all put a lot of effort in, the Rev, Andrew, Simon, myself, When Michael jumps on, we all put a lot of effort into it because we love it. And I hope that sort of shows, we're just putting it out there, what we love doing, and that's it. So, it's a great thing because there's a lot of albums that we've dived deep into, Andrew, that I haven't listened to for 5-10 years, that I've always loved. And then you listen to it again, and you're like, man, what I need to get back into this album again, and rediscover. And I hear new things every time now because I'm super analyzing the songs now as opposed to just listening to them in the background, so to speak. You sort of fall in love with the same things you fell in love with before for the same reasons, but you're understanding it better because you're really focusing on. Because these deep dives, we don't muck around, Andrew. We get right into it, mate. We dive as deep as we can.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Fan level, like we're not experts. We're doing the best we can. And
and I think that's the key that we come from. And thank you, Keith, for the kind words, because Brad and I and our other co-hosts, we do try and keep that flow going. It's something, we don't beat ourselves up. Look, because you've put that comment there, I'm gonna share something with you, and I'm sure Brad and the other co-hosts won't mind. So when we finish a show, we spend 5-10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, depending on what we've got to do, talking about how we've come across, how we interacted, whether or not we gave space, what was the flow, only because we watch YouTube shows ourselves. So we're measuring ourselves against some of these great shows that we watch because we want to improve. We want to get better, of course. So thank you, Keith, for that, because you can't underestimate chemistry too. Chemistry is important, and we talk about what we do here often as a gig. This is like a gig, when I do these shows with my co-hosts, it's like, okay, I'm in gig mode. It's and if you're all played in bands or garage bands or just a couple of guys, you know what we mean by going into gig mode. It's like, okay, right, you got to get it right now. You've had time to muck around, and you got to get those chord changes. Otherwise, Brad's going to kick you.
I'm going to tune your guitar for you, make sure it's right.
We're towards the end of the show, and we always do this because if he doesn't pop his ugly head in, we always do a special shout out to him, and I mean ugly head in a nice way. I don't want you bombarding me with evil messages, guys. Warren, bro, we do think about you. We do appreciate the support that you've given, but more than that, though, bro, you're a very, very special part of our show. Your humor and the way that you've jumped in and taken control of the chat in previous shows has been outstanding. So get well. Warren's Warren's going through some treatment, guys, so give him some prayers and some good vibes.
Positive thoughts and warm prayers to you, mate. And Warren's a contributor to the channel as well. So he contributes, towards the cost of the show as well. So what a guy. He's awesome. Thank you, Warren.
Yeah, awesome. And I know who's Warren. Warren's a guy that's he's a fellow Australian, and he's just a guy that jumps in the chat and supports the channel. So very good friend of the channel. I know Brad's got a shootout. We've got a couple of shows coming up. We're doing part 2 of Revolver on Sunday, which is going to be epic. We've got some deep dives and also some rankings on that. That's it. I think we don't have a 5150 show, do we?
No, not this week. I think it's the following week.
Awesome.
Yep. It's good to see everyone pulling for Warren. So, it's great. Yeah, we're looking forward to Revolver. And it's interesting where, we're deep diving into Revolver, and there's just the more I listen to it, the more I'm reading about it. The the more there's so much more involved in Revolver than I actually thought when I picked the album. So it's amazing. It's great.
There's one thing wrong with that album. I can only find one thing.
Mm.
But I'm not telling you.
You're gonna wait till Sunday.
There's one thing wrong with that album. But
yeah, look, or
yeah. There's a song, but if you guys love the Beatles, we certainly do. Brad's a Beatle nut. Simon, the rock professor's a Beatles nut. So am I. Yep. We look forward to sharing. That was Brad's pick too, Revolver. So we look forward to that. If you guys want to hang out with us, subscribe to the channel and offer your rankings for these tracks. It's going to be a great show.
It's going to be epic in epic proportions.
Yeah. No, seriously though, bro, before we go, and I'm going to give you the final word. Seriously, we've got to do some more Led Zeppelin stuff, man. The couple of times that we've done Led Zeppelin, I've just been on this Led Zeppelin buzz, and Jimmy Page, man. It's just
Jimmy Page is just as important for me as like the guys like Hendrix, and we talk about Eddie Van Halen on the 5150 show, and Jimmy Page is that important to me as well. He's right up there for me as one of the biggest influences, but not just as a guitar player, as a songwriter, as a producer, as the guy that he flew the flag and still does for Led Zeppelin. It's amazing.
Awesome.
And I always see something new in Zeppelin when I listen to them. Always do.
Awesome. Well, I'm mindful, bro, that you've got a spit, so I'm going to get you to do some quick shout-outs to everybody.
Yep.
And, and then we'll let you crack on.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I've got to race back to work. So we've got Dave Voodoo, Crappy Lucky. Thanks, guys. Mark Tanner, always a pleasure. Analog Kid, Keith Campbell, thank you so much. I'm just going through all let's see if I've missed anyone. Pride of Gothenburg, thank you, mate. I'll be in touch with you. Who else have we got here? Ellen Vorishin, my mum. Keith Campbell, did I say Keith? Sonia.
Yep.
Quinton, thanks, Quinton, for coming in. Just Johnny Heartbreaker. We had
Simon.
Johnny Bean came in. Simon had to leave. He had school runs to do. Simon would probably be doing these shows if it wasn't midweekers, but these are just our little self-indulgent shows, guys. So we're just, our time frames are all over the place. So. Deja vu. Yeah, so I think I've covered everyone else. Arvin, we miss you, Warren. Hopefully you're all right. Mike Rogers. We've got a fair few people in here. Obviously, some Cat British Electric Blues show and 5150 show, and we've got Pepper. Pepper's made a guest appearance. So thank you so much. If I've missed you, I apologise. And, we always go back and read all the comments later, and we always read the comments you put underneath the show as well. So thank you much. Drops Family Garden, thank you for joining us. Thanks for joining us all. And it's been a pleasure. And thank you, Andrew, for your list. I really enjoyed your list. It was good.
No problem. So give me your list, bro, so I can tack them into the chat. And Jeepers, you've done it again, mate. I'm going to blame you. We can't. He's going to get angry if I don't do it. Oh, hold on. Michael's list. Hold on.
Oh,
yeah. Gosh. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, so Michael's list. He's a very dear friend of ours. You guys, we've done some shows with him. Go and have a look back on the channel. I happen to have. So Michael has picked Since I've Been. Number 1, Chili's Last Stand. Number 2, Since I've Been Loving You. Number 3, Lemon Song. 4, Dazed and Confused. 5, Heartbreaker. And he's pulled out a Brad. He's pulled a little ace, up his sleeve. Number six, because he just can't have 5. His bonus track is 10 Years Gone.
Oh, wow. So we're all very similar there. Crappy Luxury's just put in here, T for One, I'm Gonna Crawl, Heartbreaker, Stairway, and 10 Years Gone. I agree with all those, actually. I'm Gonna Crawl is a phenomenal guitar playing song. T for One, I mean, that's like an extension of Since I've Been Loving You to me. T for One, in a subtler way. It's beautiful. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I think we're over and out, Andrew. That's an hour and a half. We've done really well.
Okay, brother. That's the hardware. That means pull the pin. See.
See you guys.